Shohei Ohtani has MVP awards, a very lovely wife, and one really lousy friend. DeShaun Foster continues to say all the right things about UCLA's football future, and Aaron Donald says retirement isn't all that complicated, guys. You should try it sometime. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. So it is March 21st, 2024. Very awkward morning, I must say. Wifey wanted to watch that Nickelodeon pedophilia documentary. I stopped puking about 5 minutes ago. Now, on the plus side, we did add a new subscriber to the Angeleno Familia. Thank you for getting in on the ground floor. We'll do our best here. If you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. I love looking to see you guys in the inbox. Try to get back to you guys. Before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Slime Diego 15, Dodgers 11. Now look, I am not going to be like the rest of the press and pretend that this isn't a problem. It's a problem. Yoshinobu Yamamoto had a lousy spring training, an ERA of damn near 9, allowing 2 base runners per inning. And the Dodgers are like spinning it, no big deal. So they throw him out there in an actual regular season game, and he gives up 5 runs in 1 inning. 4 hits, 1 walk, 1 hit batter, 1 wild pitch. The Padres bat around in the first. The Dodgers wind up playing catch-up all game long. Mookie Betts did his best. He drives in 6 runs. And I'm not going to sit there and tell you that the guy is a waste of over $300 million. Yamamoto, that is. But why'd you throw him out there? Why? If Yamamoto had allowed, say, 5 runs in a few innings, then you can sit there and say, hey, he's working on some stuff still. It's almost there, blah, 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 blah. This is an absolute faceplant in your major league debut. Why wasn't he left in Arizona to continue honing his craft for his eventual major league debut, which will be stateside? Why wouldn't you do that? You had other options. Bobby Miller, James Paxton, what gives? Yamamoto, not showing any signs of improvement since the spring training. So yeah, I'm not going to act like it's not a problem. That's not going to be spun here. Clippers 116, Portland 103. Paul George scores 27 in his debut. Kawhi Leonard adds 24. The Kings obliterate Minnesota 6-0. Big win for the Kings on a number of levels. There's 13 games left for them in the regular season, right? The win puts them 7 points up on the Wild, which is, by the way, the first team outside of the playoff bracket. Anze Kopitar, goal and assist, 1,200 points in his career. Victor Arvidsson, after all of his injury problems, finally gets a goal this season. And the Kings have scored 12 goals in 2 days. Meanwhile, nothing going on today, so I'm going to watch U.S. soccer with some friends. But back to the Dodgers. I mentioned Nickelodeon a few minutes ago. So what do you say we stay on the theme of exploitation, right? The Dodgers fired Shohei Ohtani's interpreter because there's about $4.5 million that appeared to be headed to a bookmaking operation. It's kind of complicated, kind of. It took 6 people from the LA Times to write the story about it. 6. Which means it took 6 people to come up with the words massive theft. Now, the feds are looking into the dude, who is actually Ohtani's friend for about a decade. And then, of course, the friend basically ran up gambling debts of about $4.5 million. Now, you don't have to be Inspector Clouseau to connect those dots, right? Now, nobody is saying Ohtani did anything illegal or inappropriate, hence the words massive theft. But yeah, that's a pretty troubling 24 hours, I would say, for the Dodgers. Meanwhile, The Athletic decided to rank the top 50 pitchers in the game with the fundamental question, who's the ace? And after this morning, I really hope they reconsider this ranking because they were placed in tiers, levels. 4 Dodgers made the list, led by, you guessed it, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, ranked the 6th best pitcher in Major League Baseball. This was written, this is how bad, this is why I keep holding the scribes in such disdain, right? The guy hadn't even thrown a single Major League pitch. Oh yeah, he's the 6th best in the game. Yep. Oh yeah. 6th best pitcher in the game. They published it even though he hadn't thrown a single regular season pitch yet. Tyler Glasnow was ranked 12th. The review on him is that he pitches like an ace, but the key is, will he be available to pitch in the first place? Because he's so bloody injury prone. Bobby Miller ranked 28th, Clayton Kershaw 42nd. The level for Miller and Kershaw is that at this point in their careers, they're probably 2nd or 3rd starters. Anonymous scouts are optimistic about both of them, by the way, that Kershaw won't be tired in the offseason because he didn't start the season. And Miller has ace stuff, but, quote, just needs to harness it, unquote. 4 pitchers were placed on the injured list prior to going to the South Korea. Walker Buehler and Emmett Sheehan were obvious. Buehler isn't supposed to be good for what, a month or two? Sheehan is throwing to hitters, but he hasn't even pitched in a spring training game, so he's not ready. Brusdar Graterol, we also knew about. The surprise pitcher on the list might be Blake Trinan, but not really. The guy got hit in the ribs, a bruised lung, hit by a batted ball. None appeared to be worth losing sleep over, by the way. I got to be real with you. I try to be. I have no idea if DeShaun Foster can lead a major college program, but he talks a damn good game, right? He spoke with the LA Times about multiple facets of the UCLA program, such as how, while there are certain components of what former coach Chip Kelly did that he would like to retain, that it's still time to loosen the grip on the players. Quarterback Ethan Garber said playing for Kelly felt like a job. Foster then tells the Times, quote, I want to have fun while playing football. You shouldn't stress about coming here. I know what it meant to go to this school and to try to play football at a high level. So I just try to make the football part fun, unquote. He added that UCLA's roster is not complete. They need to add anywhere from 6 to 9 players on the roster. Also, that he hired coaches from the NFL on purpose because he wants players to understand advanced concepts. It's not going to get easier if they wind up being pros. He thinks the players are getting that idea down. And while he would not disrespect Chip Kelly's lackadaisical approach to recruiting, Foster says he wants to take it beyond simple recruiting, because recruiting shouldn't be like selling a car to a family. Foster said he wants to build relationships with future UCLA players. All of that sounds great. I have no idea if he can lead the program, but it sounds great. No snark. We don't know until he actually coaches a game, is all I'm saying. Aaron Donald spoke about his decision to retire from the NFL in very simple terms. He said he was burned out. I'm cool with that. I get it. 10 years in the NFL, 10 years of just blasting out weights. You got more money than you'll ever know what to do with. I get it. Knock down a cheeseburger. Maybe start working on that beer belly. It's simple. We get it. Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is most likely the correct one. But needless to say, your national sports writers have never heard of Occam's razor. You think those mouth breathers read metaphysics? Of course not. Aaron Donald was burned out. Simple. But if you're wondering whether Rams stand after losing Aaron Donald, CBSSports.com still sees him as a playoff team, albeit the 6th best in the NFC. Now, maybe they are. Way too early to tell. We haven't even had OTAs, let alone training camp. And Donald's retirement is shocking, but the Rams still have a ton on offense. If you recall last offseason when they tore the roster down, the blueprint for the season was to have the offense stay intact, put up as many points as possible, and take pressure off of a young defense. Run the ball a lot. Keep the clock moving. Don't you see the same scenario playing out now? Right? It has to play out. Not only is Aaron Donald gone, but you have a new defensive coordinator, so this makes a lot of sense. Considering how we kept reading about the massive changes that were coming for UCLA basketball, you'd expect players to abandon the Bruins like they were trying to escape a fire. But you would be wrong. Totally wrong. Backup big Kijani Wright has left USC basketball for the transfer portal. Wright had a chance to make an impact as a rugged interior presence, which would be needed because the Trojans are also going to the Big Ten next year. Instead, he is one of perhaps 4 roster openings that USC will have this summer. You got to figure Isaiah Collier wants to go to the NBA. Boogie Ellis is going to go try it out. Kobe Johnson perhaps as well. Meanwhile, for UCLA, guard Dylan Andrews said on social media he will return to the Bruins basketball team. We talked about the Rams a moment ago. Now that the first wave of free agency is done, I think it'd be a good idea to give you at least a cursory peek at the holes on the Chargers roster as well. They have about $12 million in cap space, not counting money set aside for draft picks. Wide receiver is a 5-alarm fire, which we probably could have guessed, seeing as how Keenan Allen and Mike Williams were let go. But this 5-alarm fire is not just in terms of talent level, it's literally in terms of sheer numbers. Most NFL teams carry 6 wide receivers. The Chargers have only 4. This is not a prediction. But don't be surprised if you start reading the scribes dropping Odell Beckham Jr.'s name a lot. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the roster, there are no fullbacks. Other spots are fairly balanced. They have only 4 linebackers, but you got to figure that maybe some of the edge rushers might drop back into coverage in a pinch. Without going position by position, or name by name, I would imagine that the Chargers are going to start to look for cornerbacks as well as wideouts, obviously. They probably are not overjoyed with their offensive line, and they probably would want to get a better backup running back. Just thoughts. But I think they're based in reality. There was a notable omission from USC spring football roster, cornerback Sierra Wright. The guy started 11 games in 2022. He was at the top of the depth chart at the beginning of last year, but towards the end of the season, he stepped away from the team. Didn't even participate in the Holiday Bowl. But here's a twist. He didn't enter the transfer portal either. Why? Well, here's a reason. He might want to stay in LA because he's an actor. He was in Space Jam 2. And believe you me, after what I saw on Netflix about Nickelodeon, I would rather be known for Space Jam 2 than be known for Sam and Cats. I mean, guys, I realize Ariana Grande is legal now. I don't ever want to see a tween girl doing that with a potato ever again. No thanks. I would rather dunk my face in sulfuric acid than to see some of the things that I saw Amanda Bynes have to do when she was... No thanks. Remember how we were told that the USC recruiting class of 2021 was supposed to save Clay Helton's job? Wright, by the way, was in that class. So was defensive lineman Corey Foreman, so yikes. Former ESPN scribe Mark Stein is hyping the idea of Philadelphia making a run for Paul George in the offseason. Now, this is something we brought up about the Clippers before. This is not breaking news. I'm starting to think that Stein is trying to will it into existence to show that he can still break stories. The upshot is this. George is still negotiating with the Clippers. They just don't have a number yet. The Clippers have cap issues. Meanwhile, Philadelphia, literally in the moment free agency opens, can walk up to Paul George immediately and say, do you want the max? Sign here. No problem. And it would not be a dramatic drop-off if Paul George went east. You got to figure Joel Embiid, MVP center. Tyrese Maxey, all-star point guard. Now, I'm not making any predictions. My understanding is Paul George would prefer to stay in LA. But if they can't figure anything out, but you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about Ohtani, Yamamoto, and the Dodgers' very bad day. Tell me what you think about DeShaun Foster's start over at UCLA. And if you enjoy the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.